You are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin.
What is going down? What is going down? This is your boy, Studio MacGyver, and you are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin. Welcome to the show, guys. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're into anime, nerd culture, and most importantly, video games, guess what? You come to the right place because we talk about all that shit here. This is podcast episode number 402. Guys, I want to talk about a few things this week. I'm going to talk a little bit about Nintendo and some Xbox, and I'm also going to talk about my time with Expedition 33. I beat the game. I still have tons of things to do at the end game, so that's that. But I'm gonna dive into the game, guys. This is kind of gonna be a spoiler podcast on Expedition 33. There's gonna be some things I'm gonna say about the characters and things of that nature. So if you guys don't want to hear that, I'll give you a fair warning when I get to that, and you can skip this part and come back if you're still playing the game, if you plan on playing the game and you don't want to be spoiled. So just throwing that out there for you guys. I just really want everybody to experience this and no spoilers. It took everything in me to just not get spoiled and just play the game, and not be spoiled, because it was everywhere. It's still everywhere. The game is amazing. The game is my all-time favorite game now. It passed my number one of all time. And that's saying something, guys. I'm keeping it real. I don't know what else to say. This game is everything and then some. Okay. And I'm still not done. I still have things to do. This game is it gives you so many things. It offers so much. There's so many things still left to be unlocked that I have to do, and so many things just out there still. So I'm going to get into all that. But anyway, I'm going to start first by talking about my anime watch list, but there is no anime watch list. I got no anime done this past couple of weeks. I've been just playing this game for the most part, guys. I had nothing else. I've been busy, but I've definitely made time for this game. So anytime that I had time to do anything, it was sitting at my computer desk playing this game, and God damn it, it was worth every second. Okay. But I am going to talk about some Nintendo stuff, guys. Apparently Nintendo has been pulling out warm butter left and right. And apparently now they have some kind of stipulation that they want. It's a user agreement and they want you to sign it. And basically it's pretty much saying, if you disobey them, if you go and you try to, backwards engineer the system, if you try to reverse engineer it, if you try to, mess with it to where, hey, you might get it to play games for free on the system, anything like that, they're basically saying that they have the right to brick your system. Okay. That's basically what they're saying. A lot of people are upset about this, and they're basically giving you 30 days to, if you do sign it, to renege and take back your signature. Okay. So that there tells me all I need to know right there. Okay. Usually when you sign a user agreement, hey, it's done, whatever. But if they're giving you an opportunity to come back around and they're giving you 30 days to do that, something sleazy is going on, guys. Okay. There's definitely butter in the area. I don't know if it's Parquet. I don't know if it's Country Crock. But it is definitely butter. So if you guys see that user agreement, I think I got an email about the user agreement not too long ago. And I'm going to check my email and see. I haven't played my Switch in a while, but I'm going to look at that and I'm going to see what the hell's going on with that. Because I think a lot of people who are going to be getting these Switch 2s may be thinking about doing something to their original Switch even, because they figure, hey, well, I got the Switch 2 now. Most of the games are backwards compatible. I'll use this one for, playing all the games I ever wanted to play on the Switch 1. Okay. And so maybe they're looking out for that. I don't know what Nintendo's doing, guys. Nintendo's always operating from a different place, and you can never figure these guys out, guys. They always march to the beat of their own drum. So that's just Nintendo. I wanted to give you guys that information on there. And another thing about Nintendo that, just came to mind is that if you guys are wondering, a lot of the games now on the Switch 2 are going to basically be, how do I put this? Downloadable. Okay. They're not going to be physical. All right. So if you're looking to buy a game that you may love a lot on the Switch 2, that comes out in the near future, guys, most likely that game is not going to be 100% on the cartridge. All right. They're taking most of the games and they're going to be going with the downloadable cart. So basically you go to the store, you buy the game physical, like it's an actual physical game, but the cartridge, there's nothing on there. It's just a piece of plastic, and you put it in the Switch 2, and basically that will allow you to go and download the game to your system as long as you have that cartridge in your system. Okay, that's basically what they're doing now. So basically you can still resell it. You can say, hey, I want to sell it to Jimmy for $10. You can give it to him. As long as he has that cartridge and he puts it in his game, then it gives him access to download that said game to his Switch 2 from the servers. But the problem with that is when the servers go down eventually, and let's be real, eventually they always do, then that is going to be worthless. Okay. So it may be something pretty to look at as far as the game case, but as far as actually experiencing that game again and playing it, you're not going to be able to do it. It's just going to be a worthless piece of plastic. Plus, most people who like physical games, you don't want to take up space on your system, and you'll definitely be taking up space because it's just a downloaded game. So you might as well just buy the downloaded version and go from there. That's what I would do. I wouldn't waste my time on that cartridge just to get a download on there. If I have a cartridge in my presence, in my hand, I want that game to be present there. So the issue behind that is, come to find out, apparently there was a game publisher. I can't think of the name right now off the top of my head, but they're a pretty known publisher, especially for a lot of indie games. And I love them a lot as well. I just can't think of their name right now. But anyway, there was some sort of leak. And basically what's happened is, for whatever reason, Nintendo is only producing 64 gigabyte carts. They're not doing any other carts. Okay. So it's either 64 gig or bust. So all the other third party companies who are making video games, guys, and trying to sell them, and who would like to sell them and put them all on the cartridge, they're not able to do it because it's cutting into their bottom line, because they're going to have to pay for that most expensive cart. Okay. Which is 64 now. And keep in mind, on the Switch 1, the 32 was the most expensive one. So people were trying to cut. I remember companies trying to cut corners then, but now you have 64, and basically Nintendo is telling these people, hey, this is the only cart you have. And even if that game is, 500 megabytes, and if they want to give that game, to customers, and they want that whole game to be on the cartridge, guess what? They have to pay for the distribution and buy all of those 64 gigabyte carts. So that's going to set them back crazy amounts of money. They're going to lose a lot of money. And so they rather just say, you know what, let's just do the downloadable thing. And that's why most of these companies, guys, are going to be download only. They're going to do that cheesy ass cart downloadable thing. And that's unlike Nintendo. That's part of the appeal of Nintendo, in my personal opinion, why a lot of people, rode with them, because of their physical stuff. And if you're not, a first party game company, if you're not a first party game, then you're probably not going to spend the money to do that. So that's what they're doing. Also, it makes it so that their games that are all on the cartridge, they're going to keep that same price. So if they're putting a game out for $70, $80, that price is not going to go down, guys. And you guys who know Nintendo very rarely goes down or gives you sales on their first party games. They don't. Okay. You're going to be paying that same price for the foreseeable future, guys. And then let's not even talk about aftermarket on a lot of these games. All right. So Nintendo's stuff is just going to stay expensive, and that's just what it is. And so that killed part of the excitement for me as far as collecting games for the Switch 2, because a lot of them now are not going to be accessible disc only, cartridge only. You're going to have to either download, or you're going to have to do that where you buy the cartridge and you have to download it from the server. So to me, guys, it's a kill. It's a loss. It's an L for me. And, whenever I buy a Nintendo game if I can't get it on the disc, then I'm not gonna do it. The only good news that came out of this for me is I found out from watching this video that the new Daemon X Machina game is going to be all on the cartridge. And that was what I was looking for. I was wondering about, and that was my favorite Switch 1 game, Daemon X Machina. So this one is actually going to be on the disc or cartridge. So, that's some little bit of good news, I guess, if I'm me. But if you're a collector, like a lot of us are out here, you're going to have a hard time, guys, collecting for the Switch 2. It's going to make it extremely hard to do. And that's a loss for Nintendo, for the Nintendo Switch 2, for sure. So I still believe that the Switch 1 is going to be very popular for the next few years. I still believe that a lot of their games, people are still going to be collecting for those a lot. And I still am too. I still have games on my list that I would like to own on the Switch 1. And, like I said, I'm in no hurry. I am in no rush for the Switch 2, especially hearing this shit here. And it's just, not me. I'm not a Mario Kart guy, and the Donkey Kong game looks cool, but it's not something that I'm like, oh my God, I have to play it. Okay. I'm waiting on other games, and I'm also waiting if it's going to be on the cartridge. If I see a game that I'm waiting for and they say, oh no, we're going to have to go this route, you're going to have to download it then I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, guys. So that's my stance on it. And that's kind of how I feel about the Switch 2, man. So we'll see. I mean, could things change down the line? Sure. I mean, a year or two down the line, they could say, oh, guys, we got a new contractor. We found another company who can, print out 32 gigabytes, or maybe 16, or maybe even 8 or 4. And, some of these games will come out. Or you have third-party companies like PlayAsia, or you may have, somebody like Limited Run Games, where they will produce a lot of these games on smaller carts, and they will take that hit on the price to sell you that game so you can have it all on the cartridge. So we have options out there, and there may be more in the foreseeable future. If you're not going to go that route, then, who knows? But there are options, and I do believe there will be more options as time goes by, as the Switch 2 becomes available and time goes by. So I'm just going to sit back and wait. And like I said, if it's not in my favor as a collector or as a gamer, guys, I'm just not gonna do it. I don't buy any system just because it's new. Okay. I wait for games. I'm not going to get the PlayStation 6 day one. I'm not, because there's not going to be enough games out for it. Okay. When there's half a dozen games, maybe, or more, and I have to at least like 2 or 3 out of those games, then I will start to consider, okay, it's time to upgrade. It's time to get another system. And only then, guys. And usually that takes about a good solid year for, me to make that switch. So no different than, with the Switch 2 as well. Okay. Even if it was readily available right now, I don't even know if I would buy it because of this situation right now. So I'm going to wait, let time go by. Let's see if they can iron some of this shit out, and then we will reassess the situation. But anyway, that's that for Nintendo. Let's move on to Microsoft, guys, and let's talk a little bit about Xbox and what I think their grand master plan is as far as why they're raising all these fucking prices for all their fucking hardware. All right. If you didn't know, if you were hiding under a rock, guys, Xbox, or AKA Microsoft, they are raising their prices by about $100 for all their hardware. Okay. So if you were trying to get that, you wanted to get into Xbox, if you wanted to get into their ecosystem and you just wanted to, mess with Game Pass or whatever, I would tell people, and I should tell people all this all the time. Hey man, right now, if I were you and you wanted to get on Game Pass and experience that, and you're new to gaming, or you just want to, dip your toe in the water. Hey man, get you $300, get you a game, get you a Xbox Series S, and get your Game Pass, and you're straight. You know what I mean? You can just coast for a while. And that was what I would tell people. But now that same system, guys, years later, okay, which should be cheaper, is not. Okay. That same system that used to be $300, right? $299.99. Now it's going for $279.99. So they raised that almost $100, and you might as well say $100, because after tax, it will be $400, guys. Okay. So they're raising that. And then the other systems, the Series X is going up $100, guys. It's going to be $600 now. So they are just, and I'm like, what's going on here? Most people are wondering, why are they doing this? They're the weakest system as far as sales are concerned. Okay. They're not going to beat anybody in the console wars. Okay. If that's even a thing now. And so why are they doing this? And I know the answer to that. I think the answer is because they're trying to bottleneck everybody into getting Game Pass. Okay. They know that most people aren't going to be buying these systems. All right. Especially now that they raised the prices, because they weren't buying them in present day. So if they weren't buying them in present day, why would you think they would buy them now if you're adding and you're putting bigger prices above it? So they're thinking like, well, we don't plan on selling too many more of these, but we're still going to price it. So if anybody does want to buy one, they're going to have to pay this price. But that's not why we're raising the prices. I think they're raising the prices to get more people to get on the Xbox train, or the Game Pass train, so to speak, guys. They want everybody to do that, because if you don't know, you can actually have Game Pass and not have a piece of hardware for the Xbox. You can do it. You know what I'm saying? TVs, smart TVs are doing it now. Like, this is becoming more and more prevalent, more and more normal, guys, as time goes on. So all you need is a controller, and boom, you get Game Pass, and you can play off of almost anything now. Okay. So, they don't necessarily have to sell you a piece of hardware to do this. Their main goal is to get as many people to buy Game Pass as possible, guys. That's what they're trying to do. And, you know, they're going to make money hand over fist. Microsoft is always going to make money. Okay. I always tell people this: people who think that, oh, they're losing money, they're losing money because Xbox hasn't been selling anything. That's just a small sector, guys, in their huge ecosystem. All right. Their gaming division, it's small, it's minute to them. All right. That's not where they make their money. All right. So they're not hurting in that department. So they just want people to get on this subscription service so they can make their paper. And I mean, as of late, especially 2025, I've got to admit at least this, that they are giving us banger after banger. Okay. And now they're starting to give us some of their exclusives that they used to have. And it's coming to all platforms. It's coming to PlayStation and so on and so forth. So you're now going to see Gears of War E-Day, the new Gears of War's game, is going to be coming out. And they've just recently announced it for the PlayStation as well. So, and who knows what they're going to do with the rest of the games, the trilogies and all that stuff. So I think they're going to push this stuff out, and they're going to make money on that back end. And they're just trying to get paper, right? So it really doesn't matter what system now you have it on, because they're going to make their money. They're going to make the money off of those IPs. If you're just a Sony guy or, you know, PC, whatever, they're going to make their money there. So that's really their main goal, guys. Okay. And if you got Game Pass, that incentivizes people to say, oh, okay, well, I can get this free still here. Yeah. If you got Game Pass, you can get all these free. These are day one. You don't have to go over here and get it on your PlayStation. You can experience over here. You know what I mean? So, you know, me personally, I'm a avid gamer. I usually try to grab every console eventually. And I have every console. Okay. My son has an Xbox Series X. My son has a Series X, and I have a Series S. And, you know, so Game Pass is like really, really important to me, especially it's been this last month, and it's probably going to be for the next few months, because Doom is coming out. And like I said, Doom looks to be very, very fun. I'm hearing a lot of good shit about Doom and Dark Ages, and I can't wait to play it this Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll be playing it. So you'll definitely be hearing about that from me. And I'm still playing Expedition 33, and I'm telling you, I love the game. I love that game. But anyway, that's what Game Pass is up to, guys. That's what I think is going to happen with Game Pass moving forward. And that's why I think they're raising these prices and things of that nature. They just want to get everybody to Game Pass, as many people as they can. All right. So if you're asking me if Game Pass by itself a good deal, I would say yes, it is. I'd say it's a steal. Okay. Now, if you already have a console and your grandfather, then hey, you know, hey, more power to you. Okay. And it's all good. But for people thinking about getting it now, I mean, man, it's a little too late. You're going to pay too much. All right. I think you're going to be paying too much. And like I said, it just depends, guys. It really just depends. If you're an avid gamer, and you play everything, you probably already have it. You probably already have an Xbox or some sort of Xbox in your house. So I don't have to say anything to you guys. But if you're somebody who's trying to get into it, like if you have a son or something, you're trying to get them into it, like I did with my son, and then you're gonna have to pay some more money. And then I would just say, well, I don't know now. Then I mean, I wouldn't recommend a Nintendo Switch 2 now. Okay, I wouldn't recommend that being your first system. Put it like that. I would recommend probably, for somebody's first system now is Sony. And right now, as of this recording, they have not raised their shit in the States yet. Now they have done it in other countries, but I have a feeling that they're going to be doing the same thing pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. So I'd grab a Sony something, base PlayStation 5 if you can. And that's what I would roll with. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just depends, guys. It just depends. So that's that news. Now let's get into what I've been wanting to talk about pretty much this whole episode. And I'm talking about Expedition 33. Now, keep in mind, it's late as hell right now. It's almost 4 a.m. I usually record a lot earlier than that, but I try to do too much sometimes, guys. I barbecued today. I did a lot of shit, and, time got away from me. So here I am, almost 4 a.m, recording this before I go to bed. All right. And I have to deal with that little monster in the morning. I'm talking about my 4-year-old Yuri. Okay. Got a lot to deal with. But anyway, I had to get this one out. You didn't get an episode last week. And so I'm trying to give you my love, my feelings behind this game. Okay. Now, fair warning before I go any further, guys, if you haven't played the game, if you plan on playing it, or if you are playing it and you're not finished with the story and you don't want to hear anything spoiler made, then you want to turn off this podcast right now. Okay. Come back to it later if you want to hear it. But right now, I'm about to go in. Okay. All right. You've been warned. Now, let me just say that my number one game of all time is Shadows of the Colossus. All right. It's been that for years, since the early 2000s when it came out. All right. Even before it came out, I knew it was going to be my favorite game of all time. All right. And I didn't think that there would be a game to top that. Okay. There are some games that come close. There really were, in recent years, actually. Okay. The Last of Us 2. All right. It's another one. Right. God of War. That whole series right there. Ghost of Tsushima. Okay. Those games right there are basically amongst some of my all-time favorite games right there. All right. In recent years. And Shadows of Colossus is the oldest game there. Okay. I think that came out in 2005, I want to say. But anyway, and it's still up there. Okay. Daemon Ex Machina for the Switch, that's up there, but I'd have to say Nier Automata is another one, okay, in that mix. All right, for me. Those 5 or 6 games right there, depending on what day you ask me, I'd say, any one of those could be number 1 or number 2, right? But this game, Clair Obscure's Expedition 33, has cemented itself as numero uno. Okay. And for me to have the perfect blend, the perfect flavors, the perfect palette on one's plate to make a game my number one game, there were a few things that needed to be there. Okay. And if you would have told me that a turn-based RPG would be there, I would be telling you no. Okay. I would be telling you no. I wouldn't. Oh, let me add Final Fantasy 16 too. Side tangent. I love that game too. I'm sorry, Clive. I am sorry. You're my boy. But okay, back here to the basics. If you would have told me that, then I would have just laughed at you. Don't get me wrong. I like turn-based, but I don't love turn-based. It's not my favorite form. I do prefer an action RPG, and Final Fantasy 16 had the crown. Okay, because it had a great soundtrack, it had a great story, and it had great gameplay. Those 3 things right there are, for me, what makes a masterpiece of a game. All right. And in my opinion, Final Fantasy 16 is a masterpiece game to me. A lot of people disagree with that. I don't. Okay. You can't change my mind on that. But I didn't think anybody was coming for that game until I played this. Okay. Expedition 33 has one of the greatest stories that I have experienced personally in fantasy RPG game. It has some of the greatest characters. And I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you now, that's saying something, because there are a lot of dope characters in the RPG space. All right. I thought, I mean, I'm telling you, Final Fantasy 16 has some awesome characters. This game here trumps everybody. Okay. And then please, the soundtrack. For me personally, I am a music guy. I love music. I create music. I make music. I appreciate the artistry of music. Right. And this is one of the major things that needs to be top tier in a game for me. Okay. And this game did that. And I didn't think any game could do that better than Nier Automata. Nier Automata is my favorite game soundtrack of all time. Like, love it to death. The best. All right. One that comes close to that is Nier Replicant. That's the only one that comes close, because they have both awesome soundtracks. Nier Replicant has a delicious soundtrack as well. Okay. But I just knew nobody was touching Nier Automata's soundtrack until I played this. All right. And I'm not saying by a landslide. I'm not saying anything like that. I say just enough, but a win is a win. Okay. I don't care about if it's by 2 teaspoons. I don't care if it's by 2 gallons. A win is a win. And this game soundtrack did just that. Okay. The greatest, the best game soundtrack I have ever heard. Okay. Hands down, in my opinion. Okay. I'm sure some people feel differently, but this, I'm talking about my personal, okay, mine. And it just delivers on so many levels, guys. It does. So many fucking levels, this game. Okay. Mael, probably one of my favorite characters in a long, long time. I really love this character. I really love Mael as a character. I love all the characters in this game. Please don't get it twisted. Listen, Mael, Sael, okay, Verso. A lot of people love Verso. My son loves Verso. That's his guy. Monaco, Lune, Gustav. I actually really like Gustav as well. And SKA. I mean, the whole squad is crazy. Whole squad is crazy. The game. Okay, the game is about a woman, some sort of entity who is painting, all right, numbers in the distance, okay, of some city, all right, and everybody in the city knows that every year the numbers tick down, okay, and as the numbers tick down, the people who are under that age, okay. Basically, well, not under that age, over that age, they disintegrate. Okay. They Thanos style, they just fade away. All right. And they don't understand why. They don't understand why. So as time begins to continue to tick down, they decide to send out teams. Okay. And they call them expeditions. So in the direction of the paintress. They call her the paintress. All right. She's this giant entity with long white hair, and she is just, every year she paints this. So they get on this boat and they just go in that direction. Okay. They send a big team of people and nobody ever returns. Nobody ever comes back. All right. And so every year, just like clockwork, every time the clock ticks down, those people, they disintegrate every year. Okay. So we're upon the number 33, and we start the game with one of the main characters, Gustav, who is one of the leaders on the expedition of the 33rd expedition. He is seeing his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. He's seeing her off. Okay. Because this has been going on for years now. Okay. Every year where people, are, leaving, disappearing, vanishing in thin air. So they've pretty much adapted to it. They've gotten used to it. So they have some sort of ceremony now where they celebrate the individuals who are about to, disperse, and they have some sort of event. Okay. And they always meet at the same place, and they wear these roses around their necks, and they see each other off, And so there's just so much involved in this that goes on with this. Okay. You have some couples who are actually, who try to have children at an early age so that they get time to spend with them and have families before they go off. And there's some people who refuse to have children because they feel, why do that? That'd be cruel almost to do that and leave your kids as orphans. So they have, something where the orphans are, they basically are ready for it. Like, okay, when this happens, so-and-so's parents are going to be gone, or they're going to be gone. So we're going to take them in. And it's kind of like they have their own kind of ecosystem, so to speak, and how to deal with this stuff, right? I mean, if you think about it, once they get down to like 15, 16, I mean, it get crazy. You have a bunch of kids just running around, you know what I mean? Until eventually no one will be able to take care of themselves. And so what you learn is a lot. Okay. There's so many layers to this. You get to your expedition gets to the island. Okay. You jump on your boat, you head that way, and you get to the island. And as soon as your boat touches down, most of your crew, they're eradicated. They're taken out. They walk up and they turn and they see a entity. They see an older man, right, with gray hair. And first thing they ask themselves is, wait a minute, how did you survive the Gomage? And the Gomage is basically what they call the event where the people fade into, obscurity. He didn't say a word. He just killed them. He just started killing everyone. Come to find out, guys, that the man, the older guy, he is actually a member of a family. Okay. It's him. It's his wife. And they have 2 kids. Well, 3 kids. They have 2 daughters and a son. Okay. Their son dies. Okay. He ends up dying in a fire. All right. He has a sister, 2 sisters. One is a younger sister and she's, 16. She ends up getting burnt up in the fire. He ends up saving her and ends up dying in the fire. So as a result, he dies. He saves his sister, though, who is badly burned to the point where she can't even speak. All right. And her name is Alicia. And the family in general is going through a deep depression. Okay. They're going through something extremely harsh in their life. They can't deal with the death. They're having a hard time dealing with it. And they're painters. Okay. Or if they're paintresses, I guess, they have the ability to create their own worlds. Okay. What they draw will kind of come to life, if that makes sense. And so Verso, their son Verso, who ends up being one of the characters that is on your squad in the game, he had his own painting. Okay. And inside that painting was his world. Everybody in his world, you come to find out that your characters, all the characters in Expedition 33 and beyond, and everybody who went after the paintress, all these people, okay, were a part of Verso's universe that he created. So these people who are actually living, breathing, having kids, having, loved ones in this world was not a real world. Okay. It was an imaginary world that Verso created. Okay. And when he died, his mother basically went into a deep depression. Okay. And she went into his painting and she wanted to be closer to him. So what she did was she created someone who looked like Verso, basically a clone, okay, of her son, which is Verso, and gave him Verso's thoughts and memories. So in essence, he is Verso as far as what he knows and things of that nature, but he's not the real Verso. The real Verso has died. Okay. And this Verso here cannot die. He goes on living forever and forever and forever. He cannot be killed. And he's in torment. He's suffering because he doesn't want to go on anymore with these thoughts, knowing the things that transpired. But his parents are making him immortal. His parents will not erase him. Okay. Which is what he wants. Okay. So instead, what he does is he watches over, Verso's world still. And technically the father wants to destroy Verso's world because he wants the family to face the death of their son head on and get over it eventually. Learn to try to heal and become better for it, if that makes sense. All right. So he's trying to erase everything of this world, even though it kind of hurts him to do so because it still is a part of his son and it is hard for him to let go. But he is in combat. He is in friction with his wife because his wife is going against the grain. His wife doesn't want that. His wife wants to stay around and keep Verso alive and keep those things alive and well. So in essence, we think in that world, because we're playing as characters in Verso's universe, in his world, we think that the Paintress is behind what's going on and trying to wipe us out. But when in reality, the Paintress is actually trying to warn us. She's giving us a countdown, so to speak, to warn us, to try to get us to figure out something before it's too late. Okay. So that this world can continue to go on and she can keep Verso's memory alive. The father is the one who doesn't want this to be. The father is the one who really wants this to disappear. Okay. So basically the mother is losing her strength every year. She's dwindling down. And that's why she has to paint, those numbers. And that's why those people are disappearing, because while she's in his painting, she's growing weaker and weaker. Okay. If she stays in it too long, she can really hurt herself and maybe even die if she stays in the painting too long. Right. So she's still in the painting. The father is trying to get his wife out of the painting, and the wife is trying to warn people. Okay. Warn everyone in the distance, about her powers are dwindling. And that's why she doesn't have power to keep them alive as she once did. Okay. Because I think this was going on for 67 years or so. So think about all the other people that were in this universe, living their lives and things of that nature. But her powers grow weaker as she's in the painting. Therefore, she cannot have the ability to let everybody run around and live in this world. So all this is going on. Okay. All these things are happening. And it's once you learn all this, it's just your mind is blown. Okay. And it's a tragic story. It's really a tragic story because there's two endings to this game. All right. And both endings, basically somebody has to suffer. Okay. There's not an ending that you're going to pick and it's going to be, oh, they live happily ever after. Okay. In essence, someone will suffer. Okay. But anyway, Alicia is the sister who got badly burned up. Come to find out, your character, Mael, okay, she is actually Alicia. Okay. She's Alicia. She was a repainting. Okay. They basically, painted her into the world as a baby, just reincarnated her, basically made parents have her and gave her a new name, called her Mael. So that the mother did this so that she could have, her daughter in this world as well. But her daughter would be, fine. Her daughter would not be burned up. Her daughter would not have an issue speaking. Okay. So she wanted her to live out her life and, just do her thing. All right. And the father, that was really one of the only things keeping him from completely destroying, the world. Okay. He was only destroying the expeditioners as they came searching for answers and things of that nature. Okay. So he wanted to kind of just let Mael kind of live out her life in bliss, not knowing what the real truth was, when in reality, that's who she really was. Okay. She's a repainting of Alicia, which is the sister, but she's technically a real person in that world. And that's who you're playing. So basically at the end of the game, you have to make a decision. Okay. You find out all this information and now you're like, well, you could either destroy the painting, destroy the universe completely. And if that happens, then guess what? That would push everyone back into the real world. That would take out the wife. Okay. That would completely erase Verso. All right. Because he's actually dead. And it would force the family to have to deal with the trauma in their life. And then for Mael, she would disappear and fade away. And her real person, she goes back to Alicia. okay, in the world where she's burnt up, badly burnt, and she can't speak. So she's a cripple. She's handicapped in that universe, and she doesn't want to go back. She doesn't want that to happen. So she's fighting for that. She's fighting to keep her new identity, her new life, and her friends that she, grew up with, and, her family members. She's fighting to keep those people in her life. She has basically two families. All right. And Verso, which is her brother, okay, he's just trying to leave. He doesn't want to suffer anymore. He just wants his family to get over his death and move on and get out of these paintings and stop making themselves sick and staying in these paintings, which is a detriment to their health and their psyche, because it messes up your mentality, your mental as well. So all this stuff is going on. And at the end of the game, you have a decision to make. You can pick either side. And the crazy thing is, I picked Mael's side the first time because that's my girl. And I was like, man, these characters grew on me, and Verso was on your team. You fought side by side with Verso as well. He helped. And then I felt like, he's kind of stabbing everybody in the back, and he made you think one thing and then he switched it up. Because, he was depressed and he didn't want to be here anymore. And come to find out at the end of the game, if you pick her ending, then you fast forward, some time will pass and you see a older Verso at a piano because he loved music. He loved playing piano. And that's something you learned about him in the game. And you see an older version of him at a concert, and Mael and all of her friends, everybody she ever lost, was watching, sitting with her. Everybody was happy. And the only person who wasn't was Verso. Okay. Verso had a depressed kind of doomed look on his face as he went to play this piano, but he was aged. He was accelerated. His age was accelerated because he wanted to grow old. So she technically gave him the wish to age now. And he was, aging properly, but he still didn't want to be there. Okay. And that's the most important thing you want to realize. He didn't want to be there and he was almost being made to be there. So in essence, if you pick her ending, she's sitting there watching him play this music, and his hands are shaking. He just has a long, awkward pause. He looks back at Mael. Mael kind of nods at him. It's, smilingly. And you've come to find out that the cycle just continued in essence. Okay. So you're the new paintress. And this is your world that you painted. And these guys are living in Mael's world now. Okay. Because there's a scene where he looks at Mael and her eyes become running paint. It's like paint running down on canvas. And you realize that this is her universe. This is her world now. So she's the leader of this. She's basically taken over Verso's painting. Okay. And she's running it now. And that's basically what this ending entails. Right. So now if you go and pick the other ending, which is Verso's ending, then Verso beats her in a fight and she fades away, and he comforts her as she's fading away, telling her that it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And now she wakes up and she's burnt. She's disfigured like she used to be, and she can't talk. All right. And it's her whole family, her sister. It's her two parents. They are at his funeral. Okay. They're basically giving him a proper send off. They're at Verso's funeral, and it's basically over. That's it. You're sitting at his funeral and you're back in the real world, and the family is trying to cope with the death. They're all sad, depressed, or whatever. And that is how that ending goes down. Now, if you ask me personally, which ending I like the best, it's Mael's ending. It is. I think, and most people say, well, yeah, I like Mael's ending, but the proper ending is probably Verso's ending. Okay. And like I said, the beauty of these type of games, and this one in particular, is that you can pick whichever one you want and you can ride with the one you want to ride with. Me personally, like I said, I'm riding with Mael. I just want everybody to be cool, happy. All these characters that you grown to love and know, and in my humble opinion, I think Verso deserves to suffer a little bit. And if you call that suffering, getting to live your life still, and also getting to live it the way you technically want it where you can actually grow old and die naturally. I think that's a cool thing. You know what I mean? But he was so depressed and hell bent on not wanting to be there anymore. You know, I think he took a selfish kind of approach. And even though him and his father looked at it like, well, it's just a painting, it's not even real. You know, it was real to them. You know, those people didn't know that they weren't real. Okay. They have feelings. They have this, they have that. So that's just my look at it, guys. Everybody's going to have their own opinion and reasons why they rock with the other side or whatever. And that's just me personally. And like I said, that's what makes a game awesome to me, because if you're having these discussions and if you're battling with these kind of thoughts, that's what makes a good game. That's what they want, you know, the player to feel. Okay. They want you to be attached to these characters. They want you to feel some type of way about them. And like I said, I'm not even finished, guys. I mean, I beat the story, but the beautiful thing about this game is that it's just so much more in-game stuff to do. There's more lore to find. There's more things to discover. I found out, you know, on one of my last missions to beat the game, I found a log on one of the other expeditions, and they basically said, look, it wasn't the paintress, which I knew then that it wasn't. They were basically saying the real enemy is under the monolith. I haven't explored under the monolith yet. All right. I know how to get there. I know what's down there. I know it's some trouble, and your levels need to be up and stuff. So that's something I'm going to tackle. Okay. There's the tower, which is the endless tower in this game, which, me and my son are actually going through now. I think we're on tower number 7. I think it goes, I don't know how far it goes. I want to say 30 something. But I don't know. It's a lot where you just go in this tower and fight different bosses and stuff like that, which is cool, and test your builds and stuff like that. I think is awesome. And then there's just other areas and other places to explore and other world bosses to fight and get, pick up all the stuff if you want to go play New Game Plus. So I'm still like traveling around and doing stuff, man. I didn't even max my character out. The character max is 99. I think I'm like 80, 84. 84, maybe 85 tops. So I still have a good 15 levels, man, to go. And so I'm going to be doing that. So there's just still so much out there, and there's still so many things to discover. I still have all these logs to find. And that's another beautiful thing I like. All the other expeditions that went before you get to find lore. You get to find out what their fate was a lot of the time and what they decided to do. A lot of them decided to just live out the rest of their days in this world and just wait for their time to come. Okay. A lot of them just gave up and said, you know what? We only have a year left. You know, there were people who fell in love and just said, you know, fuck it. We're just going to ride our last days out here and die in peace, you know, and a lot of people did that. And a lot of people abandoned the missions and things like that. So it's just amazing how they put this all together, man. You know what I mean? It just felt so real. You felt like you were just there. You know, those worlds were just so beautiful, man. The music and just, I can't express how awesome this game is, guys. And it's a turn-based RPG as well on top of that. So it's just like, it's just basically opened my eyes a little wider just to, you know what? Now I'm hunting for, you know, a lot of these RPGs, these Japanese, these turn-based RPGs now. So, and a lot of YouTubers have been putting new videos out saying, hey guys, if you like Expedition 33, you need to try these. These are some awesome RPGs you need to try. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for, you know, a lot of these games, which you can get discounted prices for and stuff. So I'm really excited to not just for Expedition 33 and that team. And I'm excited just for these RPGs. Like there's so many other ones I want to play, because of this, you know, it's crazy, but I don't think nothing's touching this one, dog. This is like the most fun I've had. I can't remember in any game. And this is just turn-based RPGs don't do that for me necessarily. So it's just gave me the patience to kind of just sit back and just like, yo, okay. Yeah, man, you've been missing out. You have been missing out. But this game here, as far as RPGs are concerned, guys, numero uno, creme de la creme. There's nothing touching this. Okay. I think that's going to do it. There's so much more I would like to say, but I've just play the game if you have not played it, guys. If you're on the fence about this game, don't be. Play this fucking game. Do yourself a favor. Play this game. You will not be sorry. And like I said, there's still lots of answers, questions that I have. and I don't have the answers to. And I'm going to find those answers. I'm going to do my damnedest to find those answers when I, go through the rest of this game and like finish every boss and find every secret I can possibly find out here. So yeah, man, I'll probably be talking about this more the next show. Okay. The next episode, a little bit more, polishing up everything. Doom, I know, is coming out, so I'm definitely going to take some time for that. So I still see myself playing this game for at least another 2 to 3 weeks before I'm completely finished with it, and then move on to something else. So yeah, I definitely want to play Doom. I've been looking forward to that one. It looks pretty fun. I've been watching some stuff on that. So that one, and then there's Oblivion as well. I downloaded that. It's 123 gigabytes sitting on my Xbox, so I didn't download that for nothing. So those are the games that I plan on playing in the near future. PlayStation has been kind of just chilling, collecting dust, and Nintendo as well, but I will go back eventually. I will go back there eventually. Definitely check out the Random Gameplay Pimpin' YouTube channel, guys, soon, because like I said, I am going to be doing a lot of content there. I'm actually doing content for it now, but it's content that you won't see for months on end now. It's just stuff I've been uploading, preparing, because I'm gonna take this channel pretty seriously. I'm gonna be doing a lot of discussion videos on that channel, and then a lot of some gameplay stuff, just random games, guys. Hence the name Random Gameplay Pimpin'. So I've got some games I definitely want to play. I'm gonna do some Final Fantasy 16 stuff. I'm gonna do Wanted Dead, which I picked up recently, and I'm just gonna go through my library and try to find some cool games, man. There's a lot of indie games coming out I want to play too. So just be looking out for a lot of this stuff down the line. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. And yeah, man, we're going to be doing it. So I guess that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank everybody for listening and downloading this episode, guys, and showing your love and support. If you are subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. If you have not, please do so. I would appreciate it, guys. And I'm going to try to get this Discord going as well. So there's a lot of stuff I got that I'm trying to make happen in the next year. And so, yeah, I'll be pretty busy. Just stay on the lookout for your boy on the podcast, of course, but also on YouTube. So with that being said, guys, I am going to get out of here. I love you guys dearly, all my OG listeners. Hey, man, this is what we do. And I will see you guys, I guess, next week. If not, it may be the week after, because like I said, it goes week to week, depending on what's happening, depending on the news and stuff like that. I don't want to give you guys, fluff. I want to give you substance. That's what I want to do. So I'm trying to focus on that, so to speak. Also, I'm putting a lot of my energy into this channel. So definitely support your boy on YouTube over there. Okay. Now I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for listening. It is like almost 5 a.m. and I'm out of here, guys. This is your boy Studio MacGyver, and you have been listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'. See you next time.